Hey, this is the C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for UFC 156. Overall, this card, lots of upsets, man, and a lot of questions, actually, especially with the heavyweight division. Some of these upsets were really shocking. Overall, I liked the fights, though. Prelims are good. I liked most of the main card fights. I think Nogueira versus Rashad was probably the fight that was definitely brought it down a little, but otherwise, I liked I thought it was a really good, fun card overall. Couple topics here, man. You know who's a big winner in here? Actually, is Strikeforce. You have Isaac Valley Flag, Bobby Green, Tyron Woodley, and Bigfoot Silva, even though he found another Strikeforce guy, all winning their fights. And Green finished his opponent, and so did Tyron Woodley in very statement-like fashion. They did really well. I was actually particularly impressed with Bobby Green. I didn't think he'd beat Jacob Volkman. I seriously didn't think. I thought he would be grinded on. The heavyweight title picture is now a bit fuzzy with Overeem's really surprising loss. And actually with Nogueira beating Evans and Overeem losing to Bigfoot, you just kind of have to question the Black Zillion camp. I'm not particularly against, I have nothing against him personally, but it's just a case of I know Vitor Belfort beat Michael Bisping, but I know Michael Johnson lost to Miles Jury. Melvin Gillard is just, I think he's on a losing streak now. What are they doing there? Evans just looked terrible here. Overeem lost his fight. He was doing well for 2 rounds. I'll get to the fight. He definitely, but he lost pretty bad there. I hate to single out this one camp here, but your guys keep losing, and in some ways looking bad too. If you look at Michael Johnson, he doesn't look like he has a guard game. Melvin Gillard, it's because you got to look at it in certain ways too, because it's Melvin Gillard when he was at Jackson's was on his very best fight streak. He has 3 or 4 fights, a lot of KOs. I don't know if he was with the Black Zillions when he fought Lozon, but ever since he was with the Black Zillions, he's just looked kind of Rashad didn't look great here. I hate to sing out the camp. It's just, their guys are losing, and not in good ways too, that's the thing. Let's get to the fights now. Okay, Jose Aldo beat Frankie Edgar by unanimous decision. I was really happy with this decision just because it was a good decision. 249-46. I think Jose got rounds 1, 2, 3, and 5, and one person gave it 48-47, which is fine because round 3 could have gone either way, and arguably even round 5. One thing I didn't like about this fight was Joe Rogan's commentary. This guy is so biased towards, he's really biased towards Frankie Edgar. He keeps instilling this storyline that, Jose Aldo's tired. And it's he's tired in a sense where he doesn't look like the same guy in round 1, but he's not huffing and puffing. Seriously, he looked fine. It's not like he couldn't fight or anything like that. It was he slowed down, but he's not just Rogan makes it seem like it's a lot worse than it really is. I know a lot of people are questioning why Aldo abandoned the leg kick game. He got taken down when he got leg kicked. I liked Aldo's jab here. You know, I was actually. The funny thing is, during my post-fight, my predictions, I actually said that I thought that Frank Edgar had the better boxing. But in this fight, Jose Aldo actually showed to have the better boxing. And he was utilizing a really good jab, a lot of straight punches. One thing about Frank Edgar, too, I mean, he was hitting a lot of air. I mean, he was very busy, but man, he was hitting a lot of air, too. He got some clean strikes in, but nowhere in the fight did I ever feel that Jose Aldo was seriously threatened. It seems like if Edgar wins, it's by points. And if you look at Aldo, he does, I mean, like, actually, you know, watching the fight after probably the second or third round, I didn't actually get the impression that Aldo would finish Edgar. Just the way that Edgar's style is, you know. He moves around a lot. He doesn't, I mean, he takes clean hits, but, you know, it's really hard to really sit down and, like, hit this guy, you know, sit down there in the punches and really hit this guy clean. He has a style of fighting that makes it really hard to do that. I'd like to see Frank Edgar stay in 145. I think he could eventually get a rematch against Jose Aldo. I think he can beat a lot of guys in the division. If you want to give him some of the top guys, the Korean Zombie. You know, if you want to go with like the winners gets winners and losers get losers, you could do Frankie Edgar, Eric Koch, or Frankie Edgar versus the loser of Dustin Poirier versus Cub Swanson. So there's good fights for him. You know, he can just be like Dennis Seaver versus Frankie Edgar, or Nick Lentz for Frankie Edgar. Jose Aldo, though, I think the next logical guy for him to fight would be Ricardo Lamas, because he's coming off the big win on Fox over Eric Koch and has a really good win streak. A lot of finishes, too. He finished Cub Swanson with an arm triangle, beat Hatsuyoki after that, and then he, you know, just TKO'd Eric Koch and made him a bloody mess. Other guys in the discussion, though, I mean, Dennis Seaver, the winner Poirier versus Swanson, Nick Lentz is getting up there. So it's a really interesting division. I can't see too many guys really on paper threaten Jose Aldo, to be honest with you. As good as Ricardo Lamas is, his striking needs a lot of work. Even Eric Koch was pretty much beating him on the stand-up, you know, but Lamas' ground game and grappling's really good. One thing I really like the Aldo here, though, man, he got taken down, and he just got back to his feet. He just showed really good takedown defense, you know. It was just a really good performance. Man, let's get this right. As far as picks go, too, I got 6 out of 11. So I didn't do too bad, but I didn't do great either. Got this one right, though, so, yeah, good one for Aldo. Frank Edgar looked really good here, but man, I mean, this guy takes a lot of damage. I don't know what it is. It's not like he's bad defensively or anything. It's just he takes a lot of damage. I noticed too, like this speed advantage that he didn't have, or he didn't seem to have that great speed advantage that he had as a lightweight. You know, Jose Aldo looked just as quick and longer as Frankie Edgar. That's the thing. I'm going to be honest, I don't think that fight was close or warrants an immediate rematch. I think it's pretty definitive that Aldo at least got 3 rounds. I think he got 4. You know, I know there's some people saying, oh, he should get a rematch. I personally don't agree. Okay, next fight after that, Antonio Rogero Nogueira beat Rashad Evans by unanimous decision. Nogueira was the busier fighter. I remember one guy actually said in a comment section I was reading, it's like, wow, did Evans not watch the Ryan Bader or Phil Davis fights? I mean, seriously. I mean, the story of this fight was like Nogueira didn't want to overcommit, so he threw a lot of straight punches, and there was a lot of this patty cake thing going on. And Rashad Evans seemed to have a really hard time getting through those straights, and he didn't really want to get knocked out. and he generally couldn't utilize his wrestling game. You saw Evans was kind of resigned to throwing a lot of overhand rights. It wasn't a great fight by any means, but it's really interesting in the sense of Rashad Evans. It's kind of like he's been a perennial like number 2 or number 3 light heavyweight here, and he was greatly expected to beat Nogueira, and he just lost. The thing that really puts it in question is like, well, you lost to Nogueira, who's maybe top 10, maybe number 9 or 10 at best, maybe more top 10 to top 15. You're not going to fight for a title. Rashad Evans he's not going to fight for a title. This is a big setback at light heavyweight. He's not going to get a rematch against John Jones. In my opinion, though, it does open up Rashad Evans moving down to 185. Because, quite honestly, there's just not a lot for him to do at 205. You just lost to Nogueira. There's some good fights for him against, like, Shogun. Fight Gustafson. Rematch with Machida. I'd like to see Rashad Evans versus Dan Henderson. There's good fights for him. But with this loss, it's 2 in a row, too. He has 2 losses in a row. He's just going to be stuck in the light heavyweight division without a clear goal of really getting the title. In my opinion, I thought this was a pretty big setback for him, possibly getting a rematch against John Jones. I think his best option now is to go down to 185. Seriously, he lost to Nogueira. Like I said, guys like Phil Davis, who Evans has beaten, Guys like Phil Davis and Bader have beaten Nogueira, It was just not a good fight for either of these guys, Nogueira got the job done. He got the win over a really good guy, too. Rashad looked really, average. He just looked really average. There's just no sense of urgency with the guy. I was actually taken aback by that. I was like, wow, he doesn't seem to need to do any more or, really kind of go a little more for broke to try and get those takedowns. He kind of sat around Nogueira's range. It just wasn't a good performance from Rashad Evans, considering I've seen him look stellar, but over here he just looked absolutely pedestrian. As far as the fight next, like I said, I think Rashad should go to 185. If not, you're just going to give him fun fights. Nogueira, I guess a rematch with Shogun would be kind of cool. I know Shogun's coming off a loss. If you want to do Gustafson, Nogueira, the winner of Gustafson versus Musashi versus Nogueira would be kind of cool. Glover Teixeira versus Nogueira would be interesting as well. There's cool fights for him. It's really interesting. I know that Rashad was heavily favored to win this fight. Speaking of heavily favored, Alistair Overeem lost by TKO to Antonio Silva 25 seconds into the third round. I believe it was Kamikaze Overdrive actually predicted Antonio Silva to win by TKO. I know people laughed at him. He is probably laughing at people now. And I don't blame him. I picked Overeem to win, and he lost. It's kind of sad because he was easily winning the first and second round. I feel like that the first round, Silva put next to no offense there. Even in the second round, there was hardly any offense from Silva. One thing that a lot of people didn't like was that Overeem looked like he came in, what they were saying is like he bought into his own hype. The way he came in, just his walkout, his approach to the fight with the hands down, chin out. He just seemed very, very, like, disrespectful to the point where it cost him. One of those over him, though, is he's always been chinny. And as good as he is in K1, these much smaller gloves and these heavyweights hit hard, It's poetic justice in the way that the K1 champion got knocked out. The ref didn't stop it fast enough because he was out on his feet, and then Silva kept hitting him more and, knocked him out, and then he fell, he fell bad, he got lamped. Brings a lot of questions to the heavyweight division. I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, now that Overeem lost, and Bigfoot got massacred by Cain Velasquez, it seems like the only real option is Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos 3. I don't want to see that fight right away, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not a fight I want to see it eventually. I just personally wouldn't want to see it right now. But, I mean, the next guy's out. I guess if you can wait for Fabricio Verdum to fight Nogueira, and if Verdum wins, you can do Verdum versus Cain Velasquez. And the only other really meaningful heavyweight fight, quite honestly, is Marco Hunto versus Stefan Struve. And the winner of that fight gets Cain Velasquez. Because quite honestly, I can't think of anyone else that really is in contention right now. I mean, it'd be cool to see Mark Hunt for a title. To fight for a title. I gotta see. But, I don't think either Struve or Hunt would beat Cain Velasquez. So, it's, it's a really, this loss, a lot of people are cheering. A lot of people just hate Overeem. I know a lot of people like him. A lot of people hate him, too. One message board is just like, man, I can't stop laughing. I can't stop cheering. I'm like, okay. I guess, but, it really didn't do any favors for the heavyweight division, to be perfectly honest with you, from that standpoint, Silva, great fighter, and he's coming off 2 big knockout wins over Travis Brown and now Overeem, and that's a huge win, the Overeem one, and the way he did it, too, was, highlight reel worthy. I guess with Antonio Silva, I'd like to see him get the winner of Struve versus Hunt. That'd be a cool fight. Another good fight, I know Roy Nelson's fighting Czech Congo. Maybe the winner of that fight. Gonzaga's coming off of a 2-fight win streak. Just beat Big Ben Rothwell. Wouldn't it be the worst fight to see Antonio Silva versus Gabriel Gonzaga? At this point, I kind of give Antonio Silva the advantage. He's a gamer. The guy is just a gamer. And he has surprisingly good, decent cardio. It's like he didn't seem that out of breath coming in the 3rd round. Overeem. One thing that's interesting with this loss and Cain Velasquez or Junior Dos Santos coming off a loss is it actually does make sense to do Alistair Overeem versus Junior Dos Santos now. This isn't a bad fight. He could get the loser of Struve versus Hunt. You kind of got to give Overeem, he's kind of a high-profile name. You kind of have to give him somewhat higher up there. So I'd kind of go with those with those opponents for him. Okay. Next fight after that, Damian Maia beat John Fitch by unanimous decision. Now, aesthetically, this fight wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing fight to watch, but it was a very interesting fight. It was, for one, Damian Maia out-wrestled John Fitch, and he's so surprised he out-jiu-jitsu'd John Fitch. The funny thing is, though, he grinded on him. And I think what's really ironic is that you actually saw that John Fitch was visibly frustrated. I think he even told the ref, like, aren't you going to stand this fight up? I mean, it's kind of funny because John Fitch has a history of grinding on opponents. I mean, he does do a lot of ground and pound. It's like a stay busy ground and pound. But I've also seen him fight in a style that was just more just grinding. You know, so it was really ironic seeing these two things. One, he's getting out wrestled. Two, John. You know, a lot of people use the word fitching. You know, fitching as a type of grinding that John Fitch tends to do. And it's funny because Fitch got fitched. You know, he lost to his own game. So in that sense, it was a really interesting fight. Maia looks really... I never realized how big Maia was for a welterweight. He looks really big. And, man, this guy's a dog when he gets it. Man, when he goes for a takedown, I mean, he just doesn't let up. I mean, I said it in the predictions already, but I didn't expect to see it. I mean, he was more or less just spamming takedowns. I mean, he didn't even, like, set up his takedowns. He'd just go. I remember, like, the first round. Touch gloves. Run, charge at John Fitch. Bring him into cage. You know, relentlessly go for takedown, take back. Rinse and repeat for, like, rounds 2 and 3. You know? It was cool also because John Fitch actually managed to get top control for, like, all, like, 10 to 20 seconds. And then Maia got back to his feet. It's good seeing Maia use his jiu-jitsu again, man. This guy, I mean, it's still... The way he takes the back... I mean, John Fitch is a gamer. You know, this guy is unsubmittable. But, man, he just could not get the proverbial monkey off his back, known as Damian Maia. This win also puts Damian Maia in title contention. I mean, you know, he had a kind of fluky win over Dong Hyun Kim. But then after that, he, you know, neck cranked Rick Story. And John Fitch, I mean, he is just that type of guy that is, you know, who's beating him, you know, in the UFC. In the UFC. GSP, Johnny Hendricks, you know, BJ Penn managed to get a draw. And now Damian Maia, you know, it's a very short list of guys who beat John Fitch, and he has to be in title talks. Do I think he beats GSP? No, I don't think he can just spam takedowns on GSP. I think GSP also beats him up on the feet, but it's still, at the very least, it's still a very interesting stylistic matchup because, one, Damian Maia is just, he's really big for the weight class. He has some very underrated wrestling and offensive takedown ability. I mean, you know, GSP's takedown defense is stellar, but, you know, you gotta wonder if Maia can conceivably take him to the ground. Or maybe, another thing that Maia was really good at is taking the back standing. I mean, I don't know, I don't think Maia would win, but it wouldn't surprise me to see Maia maybe take GSP's back, maybe get on top of GSP at some point in the fight, you know, maybe even get a dominant position on him. As far as who should fight next, though, I mean, I think if Johnny Hendricks beats Jake Ellenberger, Johnny Hendricks gets the winner Diaz versus GSP. So I guess you can give him the winner of, like, Robbie Lawler versus Koscheck. I'd actually like to see Maia fight. You know, I'd like to see how he do against GSP. I think it's a really interesting style matchup. To be honest, like I said, I don't think he'd win, but like I can definitely see Maia get some sort of advantageous positions and maybe even threaten GSP, or it could just look like a Koscheck fight, you know, where he just keeps jabbing his eye. Could do a rematch with Maia and Nate Marquardt. Could do Tyron Woodley versus Damian Maia. Who else is up there? The winner of Rory McDonald versus Carlos Condit versus Damian Maia would be interesting as well. Next right after that, Joseph Benavidez beat Ian McCall by unanimous decision. This was a fun fight. Both guys looked really good too. I think Joseph Benavidez, especially early, managed to land the cleaner shots. One thing about Benavidez, though, I think he hit his balls like 5 times. I'm not kidding, too. I think he got a lot of groin shots on him. Not on purpose, but it just kind of happened in the fight. Both guys, once McCall was starting to find his range, I mean, he was starting to get, to do pretty well. He even mounted, I think the end of the second round, mounted Joseph Benavidez, showed some really good ground and pound. I mean, they both looked really good. There's a lot of calls for the winner of this fight to get a rematch against Demetrius Johnson. It's not the worst idea. Benavidez versus Demetrius Johnson 2 wouldn't be a bad fight. And Benavidez did take 2 rounds from Johnson, so it's not a fight that Benavidez would. He's probably not favored to win, but it's it's possible he could be the new champion. If not, I'd like to see him fight I think the next closest guy on the ladder is probably John Moraga or Darren Uyenoyama. I think those would be some pretty cool fights for Benavidez. Heck, you can give those same guys to Ian McCall, to be honest with you. Or McCall versus John Dodson. That'd be kind of neat as well. Get on to the FX prelims. Evan Dunham beat Gleison Tebow by split decision. I think it was Brent Brookhouse that mentioned it on Bloody Elbow, but Evan Dunham he's kind of a slow starter. I picked him to win and he won, which I'm glad. But yeah, he tends to give up the first round and has to make up the fight in the next 2 rounds. One thing that's really noticeable about the fight is the straight punching of Evan Dunham versus the hooks of Gleison Tebow. I mean, Evan Dunham was essentially beat Tebow with a 1-2. And Tebow would fall short because he tried to counter hook. There was something. The interesting thing about this fight, though, was the takedown battle, because both these guys were trying to get takedowns on each other. I think Tebow managed to take Evan Dunham down, but Dunham did not manage to take Tebow down. Tebow's always shown really good takedown defense. But yeah, there's this point in the fight where they just kept trying to take each other down and just couldn't. Evan Dunham's kind of where he is, he can't seem to beat a certain level of an opponent. At one time, I remember when he fought Sean Sherrick, I mean, everyone was thinking he'd be a title contender. At this point, I mean, he's still a good fighter. He's still very well-rounded. He has good stand-up, good wrestling, and good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, he's a good all-around fighter. But, he lost to T.D. Grant, lost to Melvin Gillard. It's he might be able to break the top 10, but he'd be number 10 in the top 10. I'd like to see Evan Dunham. I know he was supposed to fight Edson Barboza. I think that'd be a pretty cool fight. You can also give him Bobby Green, who's coming off that really good win over Volkman. I'd probably give Dunham someone more like a Barboza. Who else is coming up? Jeez. It's hard to say because I can't really think of too many guys that are coming up. I'd like to, maybe some Strikeforce imports like a Masvidal. You can get the winner of Diaz versus Thompson, maybe. That's pretty high up there. Give him Cerrone, even though Cerrone's coming off a loss. Dunham's kind of in that, he'd probably be, he's going to be competitive with the top 10, and he can generally beat mid-level guys. Dunham versus Lozon would be cool, too. But, yeah, that's where Dunham is. He might be able to beat some top 10 talent. But I wouldn't favor him to beat those type of guys. Okay, next fight after that, Tyron Woodley KO Jay Haran, 36 seconds in the first round. Man, I think, I don't know what it is, but Tyron Woodley has he has a really good over and right. He has those really big legs, and he can really cover a lot of distance. One thing, I remember his over and right, I believe in the second round of the Marquardt fight, actually dropped Marquardt. It's good just because, he got a KO victory into the UFC when, his fanfare was definitely going down, seeing a lot of, laying prey and grinding victories. He did have that fun fight against Marquardt despite losing. But, this fight definitely opens up some eyes. Woodley, I said in the predictions, he actually does have good stand-up. This wasn't the most technically sound over and right. I mean, he loaded this thing up. I mean, you can see him cock his hand. Jay Haran just wasn't ready for it. And Jay Haran has a history of being a bit chinny as well. It went through Haran's defenses. And there's a moment where he was actually in the air, and then he got ground and pounded till he was just knocked out. But with Woodley, he has good stand-up. I hope to see more of it in the future. I hope we don't see grinding Tyron Woodley. I don't mind wrestling or anything, but I would hope that he mixes in striking and wrestling and actually utilizes his ground and pound or utilize jiu-jitsu instead of just really lying on top. This was a great KO victory, and over a good guy, too. Stylistically, I thought Jay Haran was a bad matchup for him. I picked Woodley to win. It's just, Haran historically has good boxing and good takedown defense. But, Woodley, just really nice over and right. Finished the ground and pound, made a statement, Still a player in the welterweight division, despite losing to Marquardt in his fight before this. Definitely, someone to watch out for. Got another guy that made a successful UFC debut. Bobby King Green beat Jacob Volkman by rear naked choke. Bobby Green, I saw this fight on paper and I thought Jacob Volkman is just going to grind on him. So I saw the first round and I'm like, okay, hey, I thought this is how the rest of the fight's going to go, And it didn't happen. I was so surprised. Bobby Green actually managed to get on top of Jacob Volkman, He managed to even take him down. It was cool. He ground and pounded him. Jacob Volkman, bad on his back. I mean, he'd get ground and pounded. He's definitely a specialist in wrestling and top control. And even in his wrestling, I mean, he's relentless about getting the takedown, but he was shooting from 5 feet away. So, good win for Green. I think, there's some good fights for him in the UFC, but I think he should be more in the mids. Guys coming after a win. I mean, if you want to kind of give him someone pretty decent, you can give him a Masran Duba. You can give him Habib Nurmagomedov. I think Habib's a little higher up the ladder at this point. Who else? Give him Miles Jury or something like that too. There's some good lightweights for him to fight. I think he should fight more in the mid. Jacob Volkman, I think most of his losses are by submission. I don't know he's a tough fight for a lot of guys, with his grinding style. But it's really surprising to see he's lost to Paul Sass. Of course he just lost to Bobby Green here. It's really surprising. His style, I thought he'd be able to consistently beat more mid, lower tier guys, but it's not the case. I guess he just should fight more mid to lower tier fighters, Next right after that, Isaac Valley Flag beat Eve Edwards by split decision. I gave Isaac Valley Flag rounds 1 and 3. Eve Edwards, I picked Edwards to win too, but the problem is Valley Flag, really good chin. He's pushes forward all the time, and he's just relentless. He'll just keep coming forward. He's a really high pressure fighter. And he was managing to get Eve Edwards, despite getting countered a lot. He did punch some air sometimes. But he also did manage to land some clean shots, and he did really well in the third round, especially. As Edwards was fading. Valley Flag, he's not much of a prospect, so because he's like in his mid-30s now. He's a big, burly lightweight. He's not like a specialist anywhere, so he makes up for that with aggression. Just more lower to mid tiers of the division. Eve Edwards, he's good enough to beat a lot of guys in the UFC. It's also given more mid to lower tier guys in the division as well. Okay, on to the prelims. Dustin Camara beat Chico Camus by rear naked choke. I made a comment here and just how disappointed I was in Chico Camus. I made a comment in a forum, and it was pretty much Chico Camus looked to have a striking advantage over Dustin Camara, and yet he would initiate the grappling. I mean, he's the better wrestler too, as he was able to get the takedowns on Dustin Camara, but Camara had the clearly better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the much better guard. So that showed a really bad fight IQ from Chico Camus here. And it cost him because he kept initiating the grappling and he kept sitting in his guard. I mean, he didn't try to stand back up or anything like that. And he didn't throw much ground and pound. I mean, he was just like playing with fire, in a sense, because you keep getting into this guy's world, eventually, unless you can avoid all those submissions, there's a good chance you're going to get submitted, and that's what happened. Went for a takedown. It looks like it's kind of like a takedown. It looks like he got reversed, mounted, rear naked choked. Good one for Camara. He's definitely has a really good guard game. At 135, he should probably just fight more lower to mid tiers of the division. But yeah, good win for him. He's undefeated. Trains with Max Holloway as well. I liked what I saw from him, especially with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His stand-up wasn't horrendous or anything, but his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game is really good. And finally, Francisco Rivera beat Edwin Figueroa by TKO in the second round. Fun fight, Edwin Figueroa actually managed to drop Rivera in the first round. He was starting to fade, and then Rivera, really got a really nice combination and whatnot, and managed to get the TKO victory. I like Francisco's striking. What's also interesting too is Rivera also looked like the better grappler than Figueroa, and which shows me that his grappling game has really improved, actually. I'd like to see him just fight more lower to mid-tier guys as well. So that's pretty much it for my post-fight analysis for UFC 156. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.